Welcome to Pioneers in Payments, where payments experts share their insights. Now, here's our host, Donna Blum.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Pioneers in Payments. Today is my great pleasure to speak with Greg Lloyd from Endava. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you, Don. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad that you were able to join us. We've actually had a few of your colleagues on the podcast in the past, so this is wonderful to have a new voice as part of the conversation. So, Greg, to kick us off, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself, your background in the payments industry, and the work that you do at Endava?
Yeah, so I've been in financial services and payments for most of my career. Have been both in the banking side as well as within industry, and then as well as the consulting side. So I feel like I've had a good mix. Um, One of the things that I love most about payments is that you'll never stop learning, right? I tell that to everybody. If anybody tells you they know everything about every payment rail, then you can tell them they're lying, because you could spend an 80-year career here and still be learning something. And so, like I said, been in it a little while, but really enjoy it. And my role at Endava, so because my background is both banking and payments, I sort of oscillate between the two. These days, I'm in our payments team helping support how we drive payments work across all the other verticals like automotive, supply chain, travel, and areas like that. So it's a lot of fun and get to learn a lot of different things about other industries.
That's great. Yeah, the one thing about the payments industry, it is never static, right? It's constantly
Exactly.
changing. And that's one of the reasons why I believe this podcast is valuable to those who watch, is because each time I have a new guest on, they're talking about the most recent, conditions in the industry. So it's always fresh, it's always new. So, Greg, my first question for you is, what would you say is the most notable trend in the payments industry today?
So I think this will be a little cliched, but bear with me. I'm going to say agentic commerce. And I'm going to try to hopefully take it a little deeper than maybe some of the stuff you see. Just for the highest level, the reason I think it's the biggest trend or most notable trend going on is, if you think about it, this is going to change how all of us do shopping for the next 50 years or more, right? I realize it's going to take a while to get there, but if you think about how we do that, people just use it for research now. But now I can say, hey, find me 5 good hotels in New York for seeing the Christmas tree, whatever it is. Now all of a sudden you can say book it, right? But I think that's going to go through all of our shopping, our daily shopping, our special shop, all of it. But let me take it a step further. Like I said, that I try to think a little deeper than just the surface level. Hey, it's all going to change and that's cool. One of the things that really fascinates me is how that influences the things we do. So if you think about a little bit of American consumerism, think about how much impulse buying there is built in, at least in our country. I've got 4 kids. You go to the grocery store. Dad, can I have the M&Ms? Wait, oh, did you see there's Reese's over there, right? And they all want to buy all this stuff. You think about that online, right? I bought the TV. Hey, do you have an HDMI cable? Do you have this? Do you have that? Oh, if you buy 2 TVs, you get 20% off, whatever it is, right? There's this huge push for impulse buying. So this is just one element of many that I like to think through. Well, how does that work in an agentic commerce space where my AI is talking to the retailer's AI? And then you take that a step further. Well, do we shift our economy where all this stuff is free, like Google is free, all these other companies are free because they sell our data and they can live off of it driving data for impulse shopping and all this stuff? If that all goes away, then how does that change the economics of retailers today? If that remains, well, how does it work? Now, does the retailer AI tell my AI to try to upsell me on an HDMI cable and the 5-year warranty for the TV? Well, then I don't like my AI because it's selling me stuff, right? So again, I'm going down a rabbit hole, but it's that sort of dynamics that really fascinates me, because this isn't something we can just build some connectivity and all of a sudden magically we start buying things. There's so much to figure out, and that's just one great example.
Yeah, I think the industry will eventually kind of determine what the consumer's preferences are, and also what's advantageous to the merchants. And yeah, there's a balance there, right? somewhere in they're gonna meet in the middle, right? We want AI to be beneficial on both sides of the commerce. Okay, so that's great. I love talking about AI. It's fascinating. What would you say for organizations that process payments is the biggest opportunity today?
For me, it's easy. It's instant payments. And I'm right. We've had Fed now since November of 2017 now, right? They just celebrated their birthday. Excuse me, RTP. And of course, Fed now we've had for a few years now as well. Um, and at least my opinion is that we still have so much further to go, and it's really about tying it all together, right? The fact that I could get paid instantly if I was an Uber driver, or, emergency payroll things, that's wonderful. I don't mean to diminish those, but those are still so basic compared to everything when you tie it all together. What the experience should be, not just within my banking app, but across all the apps I use. And that's just me as a simple person. If you make me a business, right? And especially if you make me a large corporate, the large complexity both of data, different accounts in different countries, and zero balance accounts, and all that stuff, all that complexity that goes into business payments, tying all of that together in a way that really unleashes instant payments, for me, that's the opportunity. And the thing I'll say is, I think whoever hits that first will be the world will be their oyster, because I think instant payments will be the de facto sooner than we think. It's not going to be a year, but it sure as heck isn't going to be 30 years. So again, whoever solves that, how to tie all those pieces together for instant payments, is going to be sitting pretty.
Yeah, that's great. I love thinking about instant payments. You know, being in the industry, I'm a little bit, I lack patience when I'm having to wait the 3 days for the money transfer. And I recently had an issue where there was a problem with their app. And I tried it 3 times thinking it wasn't working because there was an error message. And then later found out that the transaction went through 3 times. So I had to wait for both ends, the return of funds and it was like, okay, come on, this should all happen in real time. But
Exactly.
we're getting there for sure. So that's the greatest opportunity. What would you say is the greatest challenge for organizations that process payments?
So I thought about this a little bit in advance, and part of the difficulty is the ecosystem. Like we said, you can never know everything about payments. The ecosystem is so large and complex. But the one, when I really thought about it, I would have to say data. Um, Obviously, AI could be an answer, but if you think about it, AI is useless without the data underlying it. And so for me, the biggest challenge is the data. It's access to the data. It's making sure you can tie it together. It's organized the right way. All the things that are necessary for you to be able to make the data useful. And that's even assuming that you have access to the data in the first place. Because let's be honest, we know not every organization has access to all their data in the first place. Um, Give a couple examples. Like some of it, for me, is linking for value, right? The old dream of, hey, we know I'm going to the movie theater, and so I'm going to get discounts for 3 nearby restaurants, right? Tying all those things together so we can find value for customers and for the financial institution, payments companies, and all of us. The second example would be customer experience, right? To the example you just had, you made a purchase, it went through 3 times. You probably had to go here to see it and here to see it. And you're checking all these different places. Oh, did the refund go through here, right? Like having all that data in the same place and having a single view. And then, like I mentioned earlier, B2B payments. I mean, that one's so complex, we could spend a whole podcast on it. But thinking about all the data that goes into business payments, B2B, B2C, C2B, whatever it is, thinking about, again, having all that data in one place, organized, linked, useful, etc., I think is the challenge we continue to face.
I would agree. I think, from what I've heard, at least, you're much closer to the consumer than I am here. But it sounds like businesses are still using checks a lot, and so there's a lot of a forward progress to be made in that space, to get away from checks to doing things digitally and in real time.
Well, it's funny you say checks. I'll make a prediction here. I think checks are still going to be around when my kids are having kids, and that's terrifying. But
That seems so strange to me. I mean, kids don't even learn how to write cursive anymore. Are they even going to know how
I
to
know.
sign a check? Times are changing for the good, I think, especially in this industry. So, what would you say, Greg, is the silver bullet piece of advice that you have for payment organizations?
So it's going to be a little bit different, I think, than usual. And then also, I'll say this is probably going to be controversial. I would say stop worrying about the business case. And I'm in MBA, so I get that businesses all have to make money. I'm not dismissing any of that. But to the point of payments is always changing. I feel like payments companies, banks, payments processors, all of us, we all get stuck because we have a lot of legacy infrastructure because it has worked a certain way for many, many decades. And then I see so many companies that get stuck because they can't figure out the business case to modernize. It's so old, it's so broken. I'm going to have so much effort to either build it from scratch or spend 3 or 5 years upgrading it. And so you do piecemeal, but you never really get to what you should. And then I think that's part of the reason why fintechs and all the young startups end up coming in with a big bang, because they're just building from scratch and they make it the way that we all know it should be. We just can't get there. So again, I go back to, for me, a silver bullet is stop worrying about the business case. Payments is complex. You need to stay on top of it. We all know the way it should run. Again, I'm not saying we don't need business cases. I'd probably have my MBA degree rescinded if I actually said that in seriousness. But again, let's not get hamstrung by it, because we've got to take a longer term view that if we don't do this, then none of us will be in business. So that's a pretty clear cut business case for me.
Right. Yeah. You need to adapt. You need to, or else you become irrelevant. And if you're irrelevant, are no longer in business. So, it's definitely a must, right, for any organization in payments.
Yep.
Yeah. So true. So, Greg, before I let you go, I would love for you to share with our audience a little bit more about Endava, the services you provide, and maybe also if they wanted to reach out to you, how could they get in touch with you?
Yeah. So Endava is a strategy and technology services firm. We service a variety of industries. Again, I mentioned some of them earlier. Two of our larger ones are banking, capital market space, and the payment space, which obviously are very intertwined. Um, and at our core, we're technology, but again, we also provide strategy services as well, but tends to be more tactical strategy. And from a payments perspective, we help payment processors build and modernize their platform on the card side and more broadly. We help financial institutions implement RTP, implement FedNow, whether or Zelle or other payment rails. Also do a lot in the payment modernization space, to our earlier conversation. So those are some of our examples in our payment space. We also work on the retailer side or others. Again, part of my role helping our payments team work across verticals. So working with automotive companies, airlines, hotels, etc. So that's a brief view of what Endava does. And yeah, would love to connect with anyone. I always love talking payments. And you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn, or my email is greg.lloyd@endava.com.
Okay, wonderful. And I would imagine the Endava website is a great resource as well. So we'll be sure to include the link to that on the video. Well, Greg, I just want to thank you so much for your time today. It's always so much fun to talk to people from all over the payments ecosystem and gain their perspective on what's happening today. Like you mentioned, it's constantly changing. So it's just fun to get new perspectives, and it never fails. No matter how many guests I have on the podcast, everybody has a different perspective. So thank you for sharing yours today, and I want to thank everybody for watching today too. Bye now.
Thank you. Take care.